Oh shit, let me see. Hold up.
Hey,
Go.
we're up and live here. How's it going, guys?
What up?
What up, what up?
How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great here, and it's a good day. We finally got some sun here. We're up in Minneapolis here. I know you guys are used to the sun down there, but
Actually, it's been kind of nasty, stormy, like pre-hurricane-y for us. But today was beautiful down here too.
That's good. I'm glad
for you being in like the epicenter of all this crazy shit.
I mean, it's been a lot to take in here. There's as much as there was a lot of craziness going on, it was also really great to see all of the beautiful stuff going on here, with the murals, with the protests, with the marches, with people just. I spent a couple of days down at the memorial itself, right there at Cup Foods, and it was something else to be sitting there talking with people and just hearing stories, listening to people, talking to people. So I know, the epicenter of it is here, but I've heard about it down in Miami as well, and really across the nation. So it's powerful, but it's really good to see what's going on in the direction that it's moving. I think there's a lot going on right now in Minneapolis with MPD 150 and talking about defunding the police and creating a bigger structure here. So it's a lot to keep up with, but it's definitely yeah, it's good. It's good news that's coming out of it, though. I mean, it's a lot at first, but a lot of good things going on there too.
I think what's cool is also we kind of got separated with the whole pandemic, lockdown, quarantine. You know what I mean? And then obviously not under the greatest circumstances, but this like movement brought people back together. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time as people are coming together to fight injustice, they're also like, you know what I'm saying? They're reconnecting and shit. So it's like it's been positive to see that energy like. And then be used for something that's actually important.
Absolutely, and seeing it not just here, but seeing it around the nation, seeing people come together for this. I mean, I just saw today NASCAR just banned Confederate flags at all their events. Like, it's going everywhere.
We were saying they're a little late, but
they're really going far with that one, man. Bring power, man. Okay, NASCAR, way to really go hard, man.
Right. I mean, it's not like it's some crazy
like a
step
headline from like 1955, you know.
Right.
That was both our response to be like, they still fly the Confederate flag at NASCAR races. That's just shows how much we know about NASCAR.
Like, the actual car, like sanction.
Yeah, they got a picture of it.
I'm sure. What are they gonna do? Like, not let people in the parking lot? I'm sure there's assholes in the tailgate that have their Confederate. They drive in with their Confederate flags, but this must be like some shit that's like I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's weird.
In clothing, everybody that's going to walk in with their, their Confederate flag shirts and everything else, like, how are they going to maintain? I don't know. I just saw it and I was like, that's something. It's weird. It's a weird thing. I didn't know that thing.
It's weird. You know what's weird about it right now is that all these companies are making moves now, and it's like it's good to see the moves they're making, but then you also, deep down in your gut, you know that these companies are making moves because they have to. You know what I mean? It's the pressure.
Right.
It's not, you know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of like positive, but then on the flip side of your hand, you're like, damn, well, you're just doing it because you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's like you feel good about it, but at the same time, you feel shitty about it because they're being pushed into it. You know what I mean? But
right.
And I'll take it however we can get it.
Right, and not only that, but you got to realize that like it's a business move for them as well. There's a lot of people that are just like, oh well, if I don't say this, I might get some backlash. I mean, for NASCAR, I don't know how much backlash they would have gotten if they had just stayed silent. Like nobody really expected NASCAR to say anything.
You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't expect them to step up to the plate. Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah, I mean it is really great. And like you said, I mean there's so much positivity that's come out of it as well, not just in the direction that it's changing, but like you said, people coming together that are genuinely caring about each other and seeing communities step up and care about each other and say, enough is enough. And so I really do hope that continues to change, not just for, like you said, for the week that all the companies are talking about it, like that it keeps pushing on and yeah. So with that being said, this is the first time that we've had you guys on Upcoming Hip Hop here. And so I wanted to kind of jump into your guys' start and how you guys came together. For any of our fans that may not know you guys or that haven't heard your backstory, kind of how the Mayday Collective first got started.
Basically, we were a local band. It was a 2-man group at first, and then we ended up hooking up with my brother Recognize over here, and slowly from there, as soon as we got our record deal, we decided to kind of make it into like a more of a live aesthetic. And then, so we ended up kind of just, making it grow from there, man. You know what I mean? And from there, that was our first deal. And then as a live band, that's when we ended up kind of signing with Strange Music, which is, you know what I mean, what's kind of like led us up to here, you know what I mean? Tech Nine was really a big influence on us to be able to get on the Strange and, do our thing,
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's so it started with you, and who was the other person that started with
Plex
you?
Luthor. Plex.
Okay. Yeah.
My man's Plex. He's not with the band anymore, but it was me and Plex for a while. And we ended up getting a record deal to this record company called Southbeat Records down in Miami. And from there, Recognize had his own record deal. Recca
See what you did there.
deal. And because he was a super rapper that ended up slicing and dicing a lot of rappers across the country. And he got himself a MTV Battle Champion trophy and some money. And, you know what I'm saying? It's the big FU from Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? But he got a record deal out the shit. So he was signed to the same label as us. We ended up linking up, you know what I'm saying?
I was already fans of theirs. I already knew them. Like I used to live in Hollywood, which is like 20 minutes north of Miami. And I went to high school there. And there was no real hip hop scene down there at the time. So I used to have to come down to Miami, go to the battles and see who was like popping. And all these other groups that were in Miami at the time, they all knew each other. They all went to high school together. They all did records together. They did beats together, all that shit. So I came in like as this like kid from Hollywood that nobody knew, and was like the only way I could get attention was to jump into the battle circuit. And as I got into those jams and those battle circuits, I started to learn who the artists were, who was making records, who was putting vinyls out. And Burns had a group at the time called Evolver. Plex was producing for a group called Algorithm. And I became fans of them before we even met. And I went to their show as a fan. And I was there at the show watching him perform, met Plex, told Plex I liked his beats. And then we slowly, they started to see me at jams. I started to see them at jams. We became friends. And then by the time I did MTV, the MC battle, we were already real close at that point. Best friend. That's easy shit. And shit, when I went to do MTV, they lived in New York. I slept on Plex's floor in his fucking loft or whatever in Brooklyn before we even went to the battle. That's how cool we were. And then we ended up coming back to Miami and I got a deal at Southbeat when they first opened. I was the first artist technically signed to the label. And then they ended up building the label around that. They started signing, they signed Mayday, they signed a few, a Latin pop artist, an R&B artist. They started a whole roster. And we were working on our separate albums, but while they were working on the Mayday album, I kept coming into the studio and be like, damn, this is the shit I want to fucking work on. This shit's dope. I love this shit. So by the time that they knew that they wanted to expand the group, it was like a no-brainer for me to join. They were like, yo, we want to add in another vocalist. Are you down? And it was like, yeah, I'm in there, bro. Let's go.
Absolutely. And how does that, because, you talked about Southbeat and their influence, you talked about the Latin singer that they signed, and your guys' music has always had that, it's very unique to me, but it's also not as, it's unique to me. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so, we don't have a whole ton of Latin music. Right? We don't have a whole ton of Latin music going on down there, so you're up there. So your guys' sound is unique, but it's still authentic to your city. And I think that in hip hop today, you have a lot of the same style of artists coming out, the same people see something and they want to imitate it to get to where they want to get to. So how was it for you guys putting out something like that isn't going to be exactly what everybody's going to want to listen to, but is authentic to what you guys want to put out?
We're still figuring
Or
it
it's
out.
some man. Dude. What, isn't this? Oh, it's upcoming. We wouldn't be on upcoming hip hop if we figured it out, man. We'd be on fucking entertainment channel, bro.
We've always like felt proud of what we did like style wise and how it's very hard to categorize what Mayday actually is. But at the same time, it's like a joke to us now because it's like our curse as well. You know what I mean? Because
We don't know what it is either,
the
man.
hip hop world don't fully accept us. The fucking rock world don't accept us. We just crashed reggae. Reggae didn't really want to fully accept us either, but they know the music's dope, but they just feel a little certain type of way that we like fucking cross our toes into every fucking pond. You know what I'm saying?
You know what it is too, though? To be completely honest, if we're man in the mirroring ourselves right now,
Here it is.
Ourselves, I don't know if we're latching on to any of those. Like, we're not, like, we don't want to be them either. You know what I'm saying? So they're not giving us the full look. It's like we're taking the best things out of all that shit. Because it's kind of just how, like, in a way, if you ask me, Miami people, Miami kids, it's like I don't know, you grew up, your mama listens to Latin music. You grew up with, like, Uncle Luke and all that shit. You have New York influences in terms of the music because New York is your backyard. But at the same time, you know what I mean? But at the same time, then we went and we traveled the world and we made albums with like Murs, the most West Coast dude ever. So it's just like, it's, you know, and the whole time, I'm going to tell you this. We came up through shows. Mayday is a show band. You know what I mean? Like, we played a show every Friday night for fucking 3 years in a row. You know what I mean? Here in Miami. And then we went on tour. We cut our teeth on the road for 5 years. So, like, we're a show band. So at the end of the day, a lot of our music, too, is also representative of the show. So when you hear it be like, bam, 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 it's also because we're like, yo, we got to do a show around this shit. And we got to keep that's our mentality with this shit. You know what I mean? Yo, we did a show at this place called Jazz It for 2 years. That was improv every Friday. We didn't even rehearse the shit after a while. We would just go and just play music for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
We do like 2 hour to hour and a half sets like every night.
Just chilling.
Every night, yeah.
Rapping, vibing, you know?
No idea what the fuck we were going to do.
And I think that shows in a lot of your influence. I mean, people that are able to do that, you see jam bands do that. You see, you guys have a lot of influence, like you talked about. And it reminds me a lot of, there was a metal band that was really big when I was like 16, 17 years old, called Skindred. And they're from the UK.
Never
but
heard.
they even say in a song they're punk, metal, hip hop, reggae. And like it's a really weird mix, and some songs turn out incredible. Some songs you're kind of like, you kind of lose what you're really doing with it. But to me, it was so interesting, but it never really connected for the same reasons I think you guys are talking about, where when you're talking about pulling from a bunch of different genres and you're figuring some of these things out, sometimes people want just one thing. And it's part of the reason I love you guys. It's the same reason, part of the reason I love Skindred was it was experimental, but still, good music. You weren't just like.
When you say connecting, though, I just have to put this underlying thing. In terms of Mayday, I'm not familiar with Skindred music, but in terms of Mayday music, though, our music is fucking dope as fuck and very palatable to everybody that listens to it. So really, the thing is that connecting means in terms of what the industry knows what to do with us. Do you know what I'm saying? The industry doesn't know what to do with us. If you're whoever the fuck and you press the button, all right, whoever knows where that button is and you press the button, Mayday's ready to go. We make dope shit. Everybody loves our shit. We got catalog that is all smash records. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. But the problem is, this is an industry that needs something that they can sell, needs a product that is done in a certain way and is marketable, and which is not their fault. This is a business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even hating. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Mayday's about great fucking music. You know what I mean? That breaks boundaries.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep, and I agree 100%. And that was what, and that is what I meant in terms of connecting as well. I'm talking about, because you see it with your fans and like people that listen to your music, they love it. But you're right, the industry won't always know what to do with something like that.
And yo, I don't even take it personal, B. It's not about taking it personal.
We're talking about it today. We're talking about it in our session today that we're like, we've approached this like strange space in our career where we're like very comfortable in that we make good music and we like the shit we make, and we're happy to just make music and put it out there, and like the biting like feeling at the back of your neck that you're like not getting in front of enough eyes has, like, for me anyways, I could say personally, has decreased a lot. I just like to get up every day and make dope shit that makes me move, and the people that fuck with us now, they're our people, and it's cool, and anybody who wants to jump on the train, cool. But I don't feel that hunger like I used to be like, yo, I need everybody to hear this shit. The shit's dope. If you want to hear it. Come fuck with us. It's a fun time. It's a party. If you don't, cool, man, fuck it. Like, I'll peace be to you. Like, that's kind of, you know what I mean? So it's a comfortable, cool spot. At first, I was a little scared of that spot because if my 18-year-old self was like terrified to be in that place, because that feels like almost like you're kind of like laying it down a little bit and like relaxing, you know? But now where I'm at in life, I feel cool about it and I feel comfortable, which I feel is setting us up to make some of the best music we've ever made. So this next Mayday album, I'm very excited about because the music we're making right now has that vibe to it.
Be careful with this next Mayday album.
It's coming.
I'm ready for it. And going along with that, I mean, and pulling back from talking about with Murs and you guys bringing, I mean, when I talked to Murs at Soundset a couple years back, he said you guys were a big reason that he signed with Strange Music, was working with you guys. But he said something that really kind of hits home in this, and what we've been talking about here, is that when MAYDAY came out and he saw how people reacted to it, and I was in the same boat as him, I thought this was like one of the greatest projects I'd ever heard. And the recognition from it fell short on it. And that was kind of one of those things where I thought, you know, I don't understand. And hearing you guys talk about
this, man. We're not, look, man, to be honest with you, dude, we are not, like, you know, rap is about bling bling and like Jay-Z's a billionaire and all that shit. But if I'm being completely honest, we're just not good businessmen in that sense, dude. We're really good at getting in the studio and writing an amazing song and all of that, but that's only like half of the game, bro. You know what I mean? And like, you got to be able to go out and sell the shit in a certain way and all of that. And we tried our best, but I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't know how to sell, bro. All I know how to do is make good music. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, you know, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And talking about that good music, we can kind of jump into your guys' projects that you've released recently. So, you know, you had Sorry for the Mess Part 1 coming out. And I wanted to ask you about this personally, because a lot of times when I talk to fans of like Cess Crew or Mayday, you know, when a solo album comes out, a lot of them are like, it's great. And then I'm like kind of expecting to hear Wreck come in. And do you ever get that in the studio where like where you're working on a song and you're like, man, Wreck's gonna come in and kill this song, but then you're like, oh man, this is just a me song.
Bro.
Everything we make is like that. You know, everything we make is like that. Because we've always treated this place like we come in and we work like a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? It may not be always 9 to 5 every day, but it's practically like that. We treat it like that. Right. So even if we don't have a project on the boards, we're just coming in, we're making shit, period. And then there'll be oftentimes where we make music and then go, hey, what do you think that's for? Like, it could be for your shit. Oh, it could be for my shit. It could be for Mayday shit. It could be whatever. So we kind of just go in here and put that vibe in all the time. So it's definitely, like, I think sometimes we purposely, when we do solo projects, separate ourselves so as to not Mayday-fy it too much, so that we do have different avenues. So it's not like we're just putting Mayday albums out under different names, you know? So there'll be times where, you know, like we'll be doing a project and he'll be like, yo, you can get on this one, or I'll be like, yo, you should get on this one, and then we'll be like, well, should that be the one, or should we do another one? And we try to be real calculated with that, because then otherwise we're not really giving them variety, you know?
Right.
But yeah, everything is like that, bro. Everything we do is run through those same filters, you know, to a degree. So it all starts in here.
Right. I mean, in usual, most albums that we do, whether it's a Mayday album or my album or whatever, they tend to have motifs to them. You know what I'm saying? Like something that we want to express sonically or whatever. And so, you know what I mean? Like already there is a good starting point to know when somebody look, we're on each other at least once on everybody's project. So the point is like when we're gonna fit us in, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And then jumping over, so jumping over to you, Rick, you just today, I mean, dropped the Fallen video, and what was it like, you know, going from, you know, producing videos like you produced in the past to producing this video where you did it all through quarantine and just, you know, reached out to what is, I forget the guy's name that did all the design.
R3X Wonders.
Yeah.
He shit, man.
I shot this shit, B.
Yep.
My iPhone, God, what's up?
I had a trip planned to Kansas City to shoot a video for the first, not the Fallen. It was going to be Low Water off the Meridian 1, and then an upcoming record off Meridian 2. And that trip got canceled right when Kansas City got the 30-day lockdown, the first one, you know, the first like initial lockdowns. And I was like, damn, I really love the concepts that we had for both records. I was very excited to go over there. Going to Kansas City to shoot videos is fun because we used to do a lot of our own videos, and we paused that for a second because Strange booted up their own crew. And what was cool about going to work with their crew is we could fully be artists. Whereas like when we do videos on our own in Miami, we're like kind of direct. He's directing, I'm editing the shit. Like we're working a lot, you know. So we don't have to like, you know, when we go to Kansas City, we don't have to focus on any of the technical stuff. We can just be artists. So I love going to make videos there. But since the shit got canceled, I was like, man, how do I, you know what I'm saying? How do we still maneuver? Burns kind of had one in the chamber already. They had to still sidestep some of the lockdown shit.
Everything got locked down, so we just had to like go to a house. You know what I'm saying?
They were supposed to hit the video for what was which one? Out Here video was supposed to be in a different location completely, but they had to change the treatment for that. You know, so then that was the only way that I could figure out how to do a video. Plus, it shifted me into doing a video for the Fallen because the Fallen was such a fantastical idea that I couldn't see myself shooting a video in the real world anyway. You know, I was like, the only way you could do a video for this is green screen. So it worked out. R3X did a really good job. He killed it. And
R-triple-X, guy.
Considering that we didn't even leave our fucking respective domiciles and shit, it came out really good, man. I'm happy with it. And really, it's just at the end of the day to serve the song because I know there's people that heard the song today that hadn't heard it yet. So like, one way or the other, rather than just sitting on our hands, it's like we got to do the visuals. They're so important, you know.
Absolutely, and I think it's cool to bring out those aspects, especially when you're talking about songs that don't always fit into the real world ideas of like, you know, I'm gonna go. I'm trying to think of now. I'm trying to think of the video that it was one of your old videos. But you're just cruising down. I just remember palm trees. It was just like this nice song.
Not Next to Go, is it?
No, it's real old. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember. I just remember. I just remember. It's a red. It's a
video tropes on us, man. Come on, man.
It's top down red convertible.
No.
Darker shade.
But it's just a rec song. So it's.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I can't
We've
remember
done a lot of videos, man.
But yeah,
that's another thing too. We just keep going, man.
Absolutely.
They can't kill us, man.
They can't stop us.
We're hard to kill. I don't know what's gonna kill us.
So I want to jump into this with you guys too. So this is the heart of what our interview series has been. We've been working on this for about a month now, but it's called Quarantine Questions. So we've got just a list of it's a list
with the original fucking titles, guys.
It's all up here.
All right, let's go.
And so we wanted to bring it to Strange and bring a new list to you guys. So you know, the first one is, which label mate do you think is most likely to survive in an apocalypse? And this is the time where I got to tell you that Chris was just on yesterday, and he said Rec's gonna do it. And he said because you're basically an IT person inside of a rapper.
Yeah, well, I think people will be the first people to die in the apocalypse. So, like, connecting the network ain't gonna save you when the doors are getting kicked in by zombies and shit. I would say Godimus. Because Godimus is like fucking, I don't know, he's just gritty, man. Like with the way he like maneuvers shit, I don't know. I just seen him, he's pretty fucking, I just feel like he can survive anything. Like, no?
I think Murs.
Murs is pretty good too.
Although he's not, I guess, technically a part of the label anymore, but I think Murs would.
Merz is also very.
Merz is the savviest dude that I know.
Yeah, he's very efficient, very savvy.
You know what I mean? Like,
capable.
he's just.
Yeah, he could start growing his own food. He'd start real quick.
Yeah, I think the reason
he's
why,
probably growing his own food already.
100%. Yeah, the reason why like Calico is bigging me up because I've been helping him like with technical stuff since we started touring together because I'm into computer shit and nerdy shit. But I wouldn't say that would help me in the apocalypse.
I don't know if that's what's gonna be useful in the apocalypse.
Yeah. Whereas what I will say about Merz is that why Merz is a good choice too is that he is very well balanced. You know what I'm saying?
You know what too about Merz? He has an uncanny ability to adapt to whatever situation he's in at the moment.
Yes.
And he never changes too much of being Merz.
No,
he's always kind of Merz.
Yeah, he's always Merz.
Right?
Yeah, you're totally right. Totally not. And by the way, total side note, but it's the Merz Day anniversary today. So
oh man,
happy anniversary!
Merz, yeah.
It is.
6 years,
It
6 years, yeah.
6 years.
6 years, goddamn.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like 6 years. It feels shorter.
Not me. I would definitely be one of the first ones to die in the apocalypse.
I feel the same way. I'm not making it long. It's not happening. Yeah, that's what we've got. Gotamus was a big one up there. That's what Tech said. Tech was like, Gotamus is just he said almost the same thing. He's like, he's just very gritty. He's good at surviving.
He's gritty and durable. He's durable.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying this politically correct. But Gotti knows what the fuck time it is. But yeah, like he would admittedly tell you that when it comes to like being on the road, because this is what we know of each other the most, because we spend an exorbitant amount of time.
We've all seen Gotti do crazy shit
and come out very unscathed. Whereas like I was like, damn, if I would have partied like a Gotti party last night, I wouldn't even do the show.
That's the thing.
You know what
we've seen, because here's the thing. I could see Gotti going like, oh, holy shit, he survived 28 days without food or water or whatever the fuck. Like,
yeah, if I miss lunch, I start to act.
Got it. Yeah. Got it.
Fair enough.
He's durable, man. I'm telling you.
All right, so here's the second question is, who is on your playlist right now? Like, who's your most listened to artist through quarantine?
Damn, good question.
Dude,
I got mine.
You got yours?
Yeah, I think it's for me. It's if I had one artist that I'd pick the most of, I think Free Nationals right now. That last album they dropped for me like got a lot of spin, especially in the beginning of the quarantine. You know, I was bumping the fuck out of that new Free Nationals album. So for me, it would be them. But I play playlists to my kids like every morning that's like a mixture of all kinds of shit. So it's definitely getting a good amount of spread. But if there was one album that I was throwing on regularly, especially in the front side of the lockdown, it was that Free Nationals album. I like that one a lot.
I've been in like old music spot right now lately, bro. I've been going through, you know what I'm saying? Shit, you know what I mean? I don't know how much I can divulge here. Who's on this movie? Like,
you can't tell who's on.
Yeah. I'm like, so yeah, I've been going through, you know what I'm saying? Relationship shit. So I'm in the trenches right now. I ride my bike every day, so I listen to music every day for like an hour. You know.
So who's the number one relationship artist right now? Who's the shit that like, yeah, I'm in my feels, I need to go to? Is it like a Al Green or is it like a fucking like nah? It's like
because I'm on the bike too, so it has to be kind of up tempo. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I've been listening to like Morrissey, Smiths,
Ooh, okay.
The Cure. You know what I
The
mean?
Cure.
That kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
The Cure is one of those groups that I like never put on my own, but every time a song comes on, I'm like, I fucking love this song.
They got a great catalog, bro.
Listen,
yo, they're the shit. The Cure and the Smiths, whatever. Some people hate Morrissey because he has like fucked up political opinions or whatever. You know what I mean? But his lyrics are, if you're in like relationship, going, you know what I mean, doing stuff like that, his lyrics are the best. You know what I mean? Like the best. You know. So yeah, I do listen to old shit. But in general, I listen to old shit. When I listen to new shit, yeah, it's like we're listening to Free Nationals, you know, whatever, man. But the thing about, going back to Mayday is I love old, great music, timeless music. So I think partly about Mayday, why our shit's always good, is because we're always trying to touch on we're always reaching for timeless-ivity. You know what I'm saying?
Timeless-ivity, like
it's a word.
Timeless-ivity, it is now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree. I mean, I go through spells of music where I'm listening to different bands. I mean, I grew up listening to metal music. I mean, when I was a little kid, it was prime time for boy bands. Like, I grew up I was born in '90, so NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, that was all right when I was a kid. And then I shifted real heavily, real quick into like deep, like heavy metal, death metal, Lamb of God.
Man,
that
what a
kind of stuff.
contrast.
So, yeah, it just went straight there. And then I shifted.
Bye to bye.
Yeah, it was a drastic shift for that, and then it went into, you know, then I got to college and I heard actually Tech Nine was the first hip hop I really ever listened to, and then hearing Atmosphere.
Well, that makes sense because Tech Nine is kind of, I mean, metal. The most,
right.
I mean, one of the most metal hip hop artists.
Right. So yeah, and it did make sense. My college years were spent like every time in my fraternity brothers will tell you this. When I blacked out, it went Einstein came on. So everybody knew if Einstein by Tech Nine came on, they knew that I was in the house and I was hammered. Like that was a guarantee.
That's a song that I'm pretty sure Tech played almost every night we ever toured with him, and every fucking time it came on, regardless, that song turns it up every fucking time. You know, there's like no amount of times that I could hear it that is too much. You know.
Yeah, he just.
Dope track.
Yeah, such a dope track, and always works at the show. Always.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because that was, you know, when I my freshman year, I was at Michigan Tech, so it was like a very like mathematics engineering college. But your freshman year, they had a class called Perspective on Inquiry that was like the English class there. And I took a class called Tupac: A Thug's Life. It was taught by this guy was like 65 years old. You never would have guessed that this guy knew a thing about hip hop, but he like knew Tupac. Like he interviewed his mom after he passed away. He worked at a library that Tupac used to come into. So like this guy just knew and like that just sparked my interest into hip hop. And when I started listening to certain artists, like Tech Nine was one that I don't know how it even came up to me, but it just connected really easily, and I went from there. So, but yeah,
this was at the university you took this class.
Yeah, yep. It was at the university. It was my English class.
My guy got a job at the university teaching.
That's amazing.
Because he was fucking around with Tupac, chilling with my guy. Yo, that's ill hustle, man. You gotta get my
not only that. And then he started a group there called Terra Preta, all about like working with soils and stuff, and that group took off too. So this guy, like, he's one of the most incredible people I've ever met, and he's got so much crazy knowledge in so many different fields that like you would never see overlap. But
I love what I love about where we're going in the next like 10, 20 years of hip hop is that like it was to us, it's like sounds alien to have people in those positions fuck with hip hop so much because it's so young. But now we're crossing into the 50s and the 60s, you know what I'm saying? So now you're gonna start to like, you know what I mean? People be on their deathbeds and be like, oh, you know, I always play that Necro song I liked or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you would never have that before. So it's going to be cool to see that. And then once that like doubles over already, when you've had a whole generation pass through already from start to finish in the hip hop world, it's going to be cool because age is still kind of a factor in hip hop. It feels like it's like transitioning a little bit, but it's still,
world,
you know what I'm saying?
in America,
in the world. But I feel like in hip hop in general, though, there's still like a little bit of age bias when it comes to hip hop. You know?
Oh, absolutely. And this was one of the coolest things that came out of that class was we watched a documentary series about underground hip hop in Cuba and what they had to go through and still are going through because it was banned. Like nobody could rap in Cuba because you're speaking out against the government. We're not going to allow it. And so,
Coming Home, was it?
What was that?
What was the name of the documentary? You remember?
Oh, I don't know. That was like 12, 13 years ago.
A homie of ours, EFN from Miami, he's a mixtape DJ. He has a podcast called Drink Champs. He did a documentary series called Coming Home, and the first movie is about Cuba.
It might have been. I think this was just one. It was just one movie, so I don't know if it's part of a whole. Yeah, it was a whole movie about it, But yeah, it was really interesting to see like how they put together those clubs down there and how they like had this whole underground movement going on under the government's thumb because if you say anything, like if they catch you, you're done. Like it's scary down there. So it was neat. And like I said, all this came from this one guy, this like 75-year-old white guy named Michael Moore. So like and it wasn't the Michael Moore.
Yeah.
But that was the even crazier part. It was like yeah, just wild. But yeah, so let's jump into the next question here. who is the label mate that you think is going to come out of quarantine with the best body and the worst body?
Oh.
Gotta and gotta miss. That's my answer. Both is gotta miss.
Oh, God. That's hilarious. That's a weird one. That's a weird question. I think.
All can't be easy.
Well, definitely, I feel like this. It's gonna get a little weird here, but I feel like the person who's like never stopped working out, probably will never stop working out, is ISO.
Oh yeah, best body ISO.
ISO
Obviously.
fucking ISO be working
Come
out.
on, but ISO probably thinks he's fat right now. Are you kidding me? ISO probably looks in the mirror. He's like, oh, dog, I gained a fucking half a pound. I ate a fucking extra lettuce leaf.
Yeah. ISO is all about, you know what I mean? ISO is all about the fitness game. So I'm just gonna put my money on him for coming out the strongest out of all of us, you know. And the word, I don't know who's gonna come out the, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I'd be like, I'll come out the fattest.
I'll volunteer myself.
I'll volunteer myself.
Yeah, because I had actually lost a significant amount of weight before the lockdown, and ever since lockdown, I've been slowly just crawling back
It's
up.
boring, bro. That's all there is to do, man.
Yep.
You gotta eat.
Yep, you gotta stay eating. Yeah, that's what, and that seems to be the overall consensus. Everybody's been on the ISO train for the best coming out of this. When we had him on, that was all he could talk about was like, I can't wait for this gym to get back open so I can get back there and start working out.
Come on, ISO. At least you could have acted like you weren't worried about it.
I was saying the same thing, but it was about Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't wait for this Jimmy John stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny. I mean, that's and to a lot of people like that. I have a friend here in the cities that she like working out is everything to her. So like when this hit and the gym's closed, she just built a gym in her house. She was like, I'm not done. I'm not quitting. And it's crazy to see people that have that mentality to just go. And I'm constantly going to work out and get jacked. I don't have it.
You feel better, tell. Man. That's the one thing about it. For me, it's not about getting jacked anymore. It's like, or at all. It's just about feeling good to do everything else, you know? So I had like some real bad like health problems at the end of the year. And it was really just all about anxiety and just being like rigid with my body. So, and I was overweight. So I was like, yo, I got to like work on that to feel better because it was affecting my mental health. So that, and to that point, it was so bad. I was having trouble making music. I was having trouble driving, like simple shit. So if that's what I got to do, I got to dedicate, 30 minutes to an hour to do some kind of workout at the crib just to be able to function properly. Fuck it, I'll do it. But it's not really, I'm not really at home going like, ooh, man, I'm gonna be so ripped on stage. Like, it's cool. If I get there, cool. But that's not my goal. It's really just the function.
45. People spend 45 minutes looking for which girl to jerk off on Pornhub. You can fucking do that. Just fucking go fucking to the gym a little bit, bro. Please.
Absolutely. And what you spoke to as well, the mental health side of it. I actually, heading into quarantine, I had dropped about 30 pounds into it. And it was for the same reason. I was having bad anxiety. I was having issues with really functioning on a lot of stuff. And it was affecting... I just had health concerns. It wasn't, I didn't have, like the doctors told me I'm healthy, but like I had just health concerns of my own and my anxiety was driving it. So I did kind of the same thing. I mean, fortunately, all I had to do was change my diet because I was like that overweight that like just changing my diet allowed me to lose 30 pounds. So,
yeah.
But that's
every day everybody's getting older, bro. So it's just like, you got to take care of that mind and body. And right now there's so many distractions from taking care of your mind and your body that it's very easy to forget both of those things.
Absolutely. So we're gonna jump into the next one.
When does the workout start? Right now, or
for me?
Are you ready? Do we start working out right now? Yeah. Let's go.
Upcoming fitness, new episode.
Was that? I think that was a dance move there.
Yeah, he does typo.
I do like 80s style aerobics. That's what I do.
Yeah. 80s Zumba.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, all right. So, question number 4 here is, we talked a little bit about this with the stress and everything going on in the world, and what's one thing that you guys have found, enables you to like decompress and recharge yourself when things are getting to be too much?
Turn off the phone is a big one for me. I try to do it once a week at least. Sundays, I try to like at midnight, turn it off until Monday morning when I wake up, if I can. Sometimes I can't. I got to get on a call or like we planning something for the week and I make an excuse to not do it. But if I can manage to make that 24 hours with no phone, I feel so much better for the next week. You know, I just one day. That's it. That's one day for me.
Yeah, I just like, bro, I listen to music, you know, make a concerted effort to like, don't listen to anything where somebody's talking to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's important to shut down the brain for a little bit. And even, you know, with everything going on, to be able to step back for a second, recharge, and then go full force, whether it's, you know, creating music, whether it's whatever your hobbies are, when you can do that, you're going to be stronger in whatever you're trying to do when you can recharge and go back.
Right.
A lot of people are trying to really push hard and through things, and they need to, you know, be able to also take care of their own self as well. So the last question I have for you guys is, what's one thing that you're really hoping people are learning through, you know, COVID, through this, that you're seeing some sort of change that you're excited for? And what's one thing that like you can't wait for it to pick right back up where it was?
You want to go first?
No, go.
Well, okay. One thing I'm excited for is just, you know, regular life. You know, go out, fucking go to a restaurant, go to a club, go to a bar, whatever, hang out with your boys, be able to go out somewhere. Boom, that part. The shit that I'm excited for is that I definitely feel like it's brought people together. It's given people a sense of like togetherness, of like, oh man, I don't really need a lot of the shit that I thought I needed. You know what I mean? I also think that it's gonna bring in like a cool era of music. You know what I'm saying? Something that maybe we've been doing for a while but wasn't necessarily popular, going back to what we were talking about before, about marketability and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I feel like maybe Mayday has been for a while on this vibe and it really wasn't the popular thing. And I feel like coming out right now and rapping about your whatever the fuck is just, or going on Instagram and you know what I mean, and being vain or whatever, it's just not really the look right now, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like all those things are going to trickle down into like the music and the stuff and all that, you know, which is super dope, you know? I
feel that.
So that part I'm excited for, and where that's going to lead us to, which I think could only be good things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, you nailed it. The only thing I would say that you didn't mention for me would be the movie theaters. I would like to just go sit in the movie and just.
Are we ever going to
turn
be able
off
to
the
go
world.
back to movie theaters?
Yeah, I know. AMC said they think they're going to shut down and shit, but I don't know. I feel like somebody's going to pop open a theater again. But
Right.
Yeah, like even though we can easily like imitate the experience at home, to me, there's still nothing like going to a fucking giant screen with crazy ass sound that will blow the fucking roof off your house and get lost in a movie when your phone is completely shut off and all that. So
and if you haven't noticed from all this COVID shit, just you need excuses to go out. You realize that all these things exist because you just need reasons to get the fuck out of the house. And going to a movie is a great reason to get the fuck out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my kid now, and I'm like, okay, go to the park, and then I'm like running out of shit to do. I need a movie theater too. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta go to a movie. And also, movies have always been a source of inspiration. So it's like people talk to us about writer's block all the time. They ask us how we work through writer's block. And for us, it's always just to continually like hammer it through because eventually it will break. But also when you need to step aside and find some kind of inspiration, movies are also really helpful with that. You know?
Absolutely. And I mean, I got my Millennium Falcon up here for the movies that I mess with. But yeah, and you talked about a couple of things in there that I want to touch on. You know, the idea of minimalism has just taken off. It's one of the things I love seeing is like people, you know, I mean, I don't have a ton of clothes because I don't ever feel like I need to have a new shirt or a new, like I don't go clothes shopping unless my clothes are faded or ready to be thrown out. So it's something I just, since I was a kid, I had 5 pair of jeans. I wore 5 pair of jeans that week and I did my laundry. So, seeing that come out of it is really neat. And then the movie theater, what's crazy about it is even if you can create that experience at home, you're still like, when I watch a movie at home, my phone's right next to me. I'm not turning it off.
You can pause it.
I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
I watched like 4 movies over the weekend, and I maybe paid attention to one of them. So it's hard to process that when you got so many other things. It's like working from home. And you can work, but like it's a lot harder when there's so many other things to distract you. So, so the last thing I want to do is we can kind of scroll through the comments here. You guys can answer as many questions as you want from the fans. Just talk to the people on everything, and then we'll give you the last little bit to just kind of talk to the fans.
All right, let's go.
Are you gonna bring up the questions for us, or you want?
Yeah, so I'm looking through too. If you guys want to check through and see if there's any that creep up to you, there was one that I had seen.
Okay, you're right. I thought I was trying to blow it up, but okay. Hi, Sam. Hi, Witch.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What up? What up?
So here's one of the ones that I was looking at from Chloe Jaws. It's do you guys ever disagree on beats?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. I can remember a few off the top of my head that I always that always pop up for some reason, but like Play Pretend on the original Thinnest Line, I think it is. I wasn't crazy about that beat. Evil, he wasn't crazy about that beat. And then that's why you could see that like the songs are a little bit more led to one of the vocals rather than the other. But what I love about tracks like that when we disagree is we're pretty easygoing, like for the most part when we work with each other. So very rarely, I'd say like 30% of the time, maybe most, we might say, no, shut the beat down. That's it. We're going to go somewhere else. Most of the time we'll take faith in the other one and go, yo, all right, you feel that one? Well, lead the way, bro. Like, you show me what you got envisioned, and I'll try my best to contribute. And then when we do that, oftentimes when the song's mixed, mastered, put out, you go back to it 6 months down the line. I love going back and being like, damn, I didn't even like that beat. Or, you know what I mean? And now I love this shit. This shit's dope because you gave it a chance. And it's nice to be easygoing and open-minded that way and then get rewarded for it by loving the song down the road, So, but yeah, it happens not all the time, but it happens pretty regularly, semi-regularly.
Yeah. And also, I want to point this out because I found it in here. K Special Mama, thank you. The song was called "Typical." That's the one. The video where you're. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, we were at like the barbecue and shit.
Yeah.
I remember the car in that one, but I know we were chilling at the fucking beach.
Maybe
I've done too many
too.
videos, B.
Yeah. All right, so we can.
I've been thinking about that one day, like when it's time to sit down and like I don't watch anything because it's like it's too much stuff, and now one day I just want to sit down
and watch all 500 videos
and just have a catalog. Obviously I watch stuff like if I'll be at a party, like my mom will have a playlist or some dumb shit, but I'm not really sitting like Typical's not on. You know what I mean? Like there's nitty gritty, there's shit that's going in and out of that shit. And it's just like it takes time to sit down and do it. And at this point it's so large of a past that I'd rather just keep moving forward, you know what I'm saying? Like it's tough for me to sit back and listen,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean it's one of the things from a fan side of point of view that I've always loved. And this is kind of going to go into the next fan question that I have here. It's always been, since I was a kid, not only was I so into music, but I always bought band albums that had like an extra DVD of their tour, or that had like an extra like interview series, because that's why I do what I do now, is because I've always loved finding out more than just the music of somebody, like finding out the person that's behind it. And so this question from the same person, K Special Mama, is, will there be a behind-the-scenes release for the new album, a la Making a Thursday?
Good question. I mean, I started shooting in the beginning of the thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just, man, it's tough to be consistent with that kind of stuff, man. And it's like, yo, okay, now in a world where there's like Instagram and there's fucking Buttholegram and all that shit and everything is out there, right? Now, is more access really good? The good thing now? Or should it be less access?
Yeah.
Are we going to go back to the days, because of all this, are we going to go back to the days of like Michael Jackson pop star. You only get the certain thing that's like done perfectly every time you see him. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird because everybody's got full access right now. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
There's very few artists that don't give full access now. I think like Kendrick might be the only one I can think of. Off the top of my
Kendrick,
head.
yo, Kendrick is a great example of
Kendrick's
somebody
the one that
that's
I
like,
know that I'm like, I never see him posting shit. unless
even
it's
with
a
this
promo.
BLM shit, people have been like, Kendrick, and he did it how he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yep.
fucking like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tricky for us because when we did Merge Day, we had like more people around,
Definitely.
so it was easy. Like we actually had someone specifically come and
Yeah.
shoot those sessions for that
Yeah.
purpose.
We knew it was going to be a special thing, so you know, we
so
hired
we knew
somebody.
we made it like that on purpose. Whereas like when we're doing stuff right now for the album, we're just coming in and doing casual work. We're just doing our daily work, and it fucks up the vibe sometimes to be like stopping and removing yourself from the vibe to like film the vibe that you're supposed to be in at the same time. So it's like it's a little bit tricky and challenging, and then there's a double-edged sword to it. The people who appreciate those kind of videos are like our most diehard fans, but it's a very small, like tight knit community of people. So I want to like, now I'm switching my focus lately this past like year and a half to like really catering to those people that really fuck with us. Because if you look at the Merge Day behind the scenes, the numbers, yeah, Wrecking Crew, shout out. The numbers aren't great on the Merge Day behind the scenes, but they're really dope pieces of like fucking material of content. But they didn't move the meter for us a lot. But the people who saw that shit really like appreciated the behind the scenes look. So it's that double-edged sort of knowing that you're not really gonna like, it's not gonna do a whole lot to push the meter on the project, but for the people that matter the most to us, then they appreciate it. So that's kind of like where the motivation kind of like seesaws a little bit, you know?
Mr. Burns, when do we get Sorry for the Mess Part 2 from Groovy Cats Dispensary? Yo, Groovy Cats Dispensary.
Cat Will.
Sorry for the Mess Part 2 should be coming out next month.
Yes, I forget that.
I think at the end of next month. I think last week of next month. I forgot the exact date though.
Me too.
But it's coming out. I just got a dope feature locked in for it. I'm super happy. So all you motherfuckers, is gonna be a dope fucking project. I hope you like it. George Spitz, what up?
Awesome, and we'll translate that into just letting you guys kind of take this last bit here to kind of talk to the fans about what you got coming up, about merch, about projects, about everything that you guys got going on in your lives.
Let's start with my man's Recognize
All
right here.
I just dropped that video for The Fallen. Go check it out. It's on Strange Music's YouTube. Meridian 1 for Pressure Point is out right now. Meridian 2 is dropping June 19th. And I'm very excited about the music on there.
Tell them about Meridian 2. Tell them about
2
Meridian 2. How does it feel?
Really, to me, Meridian 2 kicks off with the best song off the whole album, and that whole shit isn't even done yet. But I just know that it's my favorite song. Probably.
How many of y'all fucking with my dog shit, Meridian? You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
So yeah, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. So yeah, you can fucking go to recognizethemusic.com, and then I also got a podcast called the GTFOH podcast. And I have a fucking wonderful crew of people that I kick it with every day called the Wrecking Crew. You can find us on patreon.com/recognize. We're doing all kinds of cool, fun shit. Come holler at us. Yeah.
Wrecking Crew.
All right, your turn.
Okay. I just have an album coming out next month called Sorry for the Mess. It's the second part to my album, and it's coming out last week of July. I'm like, what month is it? July. And it's going to be featuring a really cool artist, and it's more of the same vibe, jazzy, Latin, funky.
That's my kind of music, man.
Awesome. So yeah.
And then put our fucking forces combined, and the new Mayday album, which is under construction right now, starts to drop in August.
Oh, the first EP is.
The first EP is gonna drop in August. Yeah, the full length album won't hit until early next year. But the first EP, per Strange's new release schedule, starts in August. And we got some really dope shit. I think
more hard shit.
I personally believe we're making 2 albums at the same time, but we haven't fully committed to that yet. But I see 2 different visions that are parting ways, and I feel like to make the music fit the best with each other, we're gonna have to split them into 2 projects. So
Yo, Janelli says we need a Mr. Burns cooking show.
I've been saying that shit.
All right, so peep the game. The thing is that, yo, look, Ritz is such a good cook and all that shit. Like, I don't think I'm as good a cook. I'm a good cook, but I'm not like trained and all good like Ritz, right? I feel like I want to do like a cooking show, but maybe mix it up with something else, like cooking show / not interview, but maybe like a Tonight Show, kind of like how you do the podcast cooking show or something.
Have you
Homie, we talk shit, news shit, boom.
Like a comedians in cars getting coffee kind of
Kind
thing.
of like vibe.
So-
Because, I mean, I'm a good cook, but to me, I'm a better entertainer. You come to the crib, I'm going to put some music on. We're going to bam, bam, bam. You're going to leave with a great time. That's kind of my vibe.
I have a great suggestion for you. There's a show called Something's Burning. With Bert,
That would have been the greatest name for me. Fuck!
it's Bert Kreischer. He does it with comedians, where he just drinks and cooks and makes stuff with comedians. And he's been doing it for a little while now. But that's what came to my head. But it's hard, man. It's hard because as soon as you think of a great idea, somebody's like, there's got to be somebody.
Don't fuck about that. I make music, bro. I'm a rapper. Come
Right.
on, there was a million of us before that. I don't care about that. I do my shit. But yeah,
Absolutely.
That's kind of the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, check it out. It's funny too. But yeah. So I wanted to thank you guys again. I got one last question for you. Who would you guys put up right now for your #1 Latin artist for people to check out?
That's all you, man. But who oh man.
#1 Latin artist right now. I mean,
Like right now, modern, like.
I mean,
like coming out
besides
right now?
Bad Bunny, because I fuck with Bad Bunny, but
Yeah, who's the dude you're playing on the tour a lot? Bad Bunny, right?
yeah, I mean, I fuck with the Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
I love a lot of the artists that are coming out of Neon, which is this production company called Neon, which is super dope, which is by this producer named Tahini. And you know what I'm saying? And like, they're all super cool.